Should you get into BMX after the age of 30, say 40, say 50? Yo, what up my homies? Welcome back to Riding Dirty, and today we're gonna be exploring the world of BMX. Doesn't matter what age you are, we're gonna talk about the three most popular sizes in BMX right now. We're gonna go from 29er, 24 inch, and 20 inch. The three most popular sizes in BMX, and find out what bike is right for you. Personally, I started on BMX back in the day when I was young, and I've always had this beautiful relationship with it. I've always loved it. I've never been that great at it, but it's just one of those things that it's nostalgic, and I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who feel the same way about BMX. And I'm sure there's a lot of you who are not sure if you could get back into BMX. I am currently 43 years old. I've gotten back into BMX in the last 6 months, and I tell you, it was a struggle, but I'm loving every second of it. And let's find out what bike would be good for you out of these three sizes. All right, let's go ahead and kick things off with the 29er. The big wheels on a BMX frame. These things are so sick. These are the bikes that are made to just go for long miles and just cruising by the beach, having a good time. You're not trying to do any tricks. You're just trying to go fast and chill. 29er has been one of the most popular tire sizes in the last few years, especially with mountain bikes. And adapting a 29er to a BMX bike, I thought was a genius idea. And I had to get my hands on one of these because, man, just look at that thing. It's just like back in the day, except for grown-ups. Well, I'm not exactly grown, but it still looks pretty sick. So like I said, these things are some big bikes. They are not light, they are pretty heavy. I'm sure you could find a lighter one, but this one in particular is not light. It's a full chromoly frame, and it's gonna be strong. The thing is, this is not your bike that you're gonna wanna do tricks on. This bike is way too heavy to do tricks on. I'm sure somebody could do it, and never say never, but these are not made for that. But if you want something that you can just cruise on, have a great time, and hang out with your kids and just kind of cruise around the neighborhood, 29er's for you. And these big 29er wheels have been bringing people back to BMX, especially adults in their 30s and 40s and older. If you want a laid back ride and you're just chilling, this is the bike for you. They come in a couple of different ranges and prices, and you know, you can find one out there to meet your budget no matter what. But I would say if you're someone who wants to get back into BMX and you just want to feel that feeling of riding a bike again, this is your champ right here. 29er BMX with smooth tires, nice mag wheels, these dope chrome cranks, and this is the GT limited edition Mandalorian. This was the special edition bike that I already did a video previously on, and the moment I saw this bike I had to have it, so I ended up getting one. And man, I can tell you, having this bike to be able to go cruise out with the family by the beach and just be riding bikes and having fun, this was the one. Comes with some nice 4-piece bars, has your typical old school brakes on it, and that's the 29er. Next up, we have our 24-inch BMX bike made by Sunday Bikes. This was the bike that made me go, you know what? I kind of want to do some of the tricks I used to do. I want to get back into BMX. I want to not just cruise around, I want to try some stuff. And so I ended up buying the 24-inch. They are called the Cruiser, but they really are the Swiss Army bike of BMX because they do have the bigger wheels to support bigger riders. They're also very smooth when you're riding, so you have that support that you feel as if you're very confident on it. And I decided to get one, and I went with Sunday because I knew they were a reputable brand, and they had a lot of nice Odyssey parts, which are really good parts for BMX, so I went with this one. Giving you more of a feeling of a regular 20-inch BMX bike, not so much like the 29er, which is a really nice thing. It's definitely a lot lighter than the 29er, and if you're someone that just wants to cruise around your neighborhood and every once in a while jump off some curbs and do some small jumps and bunny hop and do some 180 fakies, this is the bike for you. Doesn't really matter what age you are, as long as you want to ride a bike, you could do great on this bike, especially if you're someone who has experience on a BMX bike and you just want to cruise, but you also want to have a little bit of rowdy fun. The 24-inch is where it's at. As far as any cons on this bike, it's definitely not going to be as smooth as a 29er. The 29er is just a really smooth bike to cruise, and it's not going to be as trick friendly. You're going to be definitely limited on this unless you're a really good BMX rider. The 20-inch is going to be an easier bike to pull some maneuvers. But you know, if you're not looking for that, but you still want to have more of a bike that's for doing a little bit of stuff here, maybe carving some bowls inside of a skate park, you could do that on this and have a lot of fun. And you know, that's the 24 in a nutshell. It's a great bike. Wheels are a little bit bigger than the 20-inch and not as big as a 29er. Fun bike to ride though. One of the really great things about this bike though is that this bike is the bike for all ages. You can do this as a young kid, you can do this as a teenager, as an adult, and even an older adult. That's the great thing about this bike because it's so versatile. I would definitely recommend one of these if you're just not sure if you want to get into BMX all the way, but you don't necessarily see yourself just cruising on 29er and not doing anything on it. The Swiss Army of BMX bikes, this is definitely your guy. 24-inch, all-arounder, good bike. All right, let's bring it back to the old school 20-inch OG gangster BMX bike. This is my 20-inch Fit Bike Co. This is a custom build. I bought the frame. I put all the different parts on that I wanted to try out. And man, this thing is awesome. If you are someone who deliberately wants to do tricks, big air, jumps, grinds, all the good stuff, you got to go with the 20-inch. The 20-inch will do all that stuff. Now, me being a little bit older and getting back into this, there's a lot of new styles of bikes. There's a lot of different geometries on handlebars, different geometries on the frames, a lot of stuff I never paid attention to as a kid, and probably neither did most of you. Now that I'm back into it, I'm learning about geometries. I have a couple of 20 inches now. I'm trying to figure out what's the best fit for bike. You know, back in the day, you got on a bike, you rode it, it didn't matter what size it was. And you know what, today we're just fortunate to have people that engineered bikes in a really cool way, so you can try all the different things out that make you a better rider. And I have noticed that riding a little bit shorter rear end and a shorter top tube has made me feel pretty good. This bike in particular has a 20.25 top tube and a 12.5 chainstay rear end. I'm also riding a free coaster. Free coaster was starting to kind of come alive when I was getting out of BMX a few years back. And now it's more improved. It's a better mechanism on how they designed these free coasters. I know back in the day a lot of them were breaking. Now they're pretty bomb proof and they're pretty awesome. One other thing that's pretty cool that I've noticed about getting back into it is that the tire sizes are a lot wider than they used to be. The rims are a lot wider than they used to be. So you can get pretty wide rims, pretty wide tires. They're coming in 2.4s, and that's what I ride on mountain bikes, which is a pretty big tire. And it helps a lot for landing tricks having that big wide tire profile. Also, the cool thing is that they have really short cranks. I'm running 160 millimeter cranks. Most of the cranks I rode back in the day were 170s, and they were pretty long. I've noticed the shorter cranks does help a little bit for doing spin tricks, that kind of stuff. Also, the pegs these days, they're not just metal anymore. They got this plastic coating on the outside, sleeves that you can grind almost anything, which is pretty rad because back in the day, you just had metal ones, and if it wasn't a nice smooth surface, you were gonna go right over those bars if you were trying to grind anything. Also, the handlebars are a lot taller these days. They did have some pretty tall handlebars back in the day, but your average was about an 8-inch. On these in particular, I'm running a 9.5 that feel really good. And I'm also running a front load stem. You'll notice on the other two bikes that I just had up, this one stem was a top load, one stem was a front load. Personally, I think the front load's a little bit better. I get a little bit better leverage and I like that more. I had to keep it old school gangster with these bike pads because back in the day I had bike pads on all my BMX bikes and I just kind of wanted to roll with that. Plus, you know, it's a little bit of a safety feature, you know, it's a little bit of a cushion here and a little bit of cushion here in case you do a spill, which you will do on a BMX bike. It's pretty common. But back to the subject at hand, the 20-inch bike is gonna be your fun bike. It's gonna be your doing tricks bike. And you know what? If you decided to start off with a 29er, go to a 24 and then a 20-inch, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know what your pocketbook looks like, so that might be kind of an issue. But either way, I went from riding a 29er mountain bike all the way down to a 20-inch BMX bike, and I'm telling you, the transition back and forth once you've done it a few times, it's not a big deal. It's actually pretty comfortable, and I'm familiar with both bikes really, really well. So for me, I'm having fun riding both. When I'm not riding a mountain bike, I'm riding my BMX bike and doing tricks and learning how to do stuff at the skate park and having a lot of fun. Are you someone who wants to cruise? go with the 29er. If you're someone who wants to do some stuff, not get too crazy, maybe ride some bowls in the skate park, 24-inch. But if you're someone that wants to go out there and just smash and have fun, do some tricks, grind some rails, grind some ledges, big air, 20-inch is your guy. But at the end of the day, that's up to you and what kind of style you're riding. So at the end of all this, leave me a comment, let me know. Do you think riding a 20-inch at the age 43 is too much? Do you think you'd be wanting to get into it? Let me know your thoughts. I think that everybody should have a BMX bike in the garage that they ride every now and then regardless. And they're just a lot of fun. And this brings me back to keeping me on a bike and having fun and doing tricks. That's it for today. Thanks for sticking around and hanging out with me to talk about BMX bikes. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear anybody's feedback on what they think about riding BMX and going back and forth from mountain bikes, or just someone who wants to get into a 29er, a 24-inch, or if you're just curious what kind of bike you should buy as a rider, hit me up, let me know, and we'll have a conversation down there in the comments. That's pretty much all I got for you today. We're gonna be having a lot more BMX stuff in the future on the channel. We're also gonna keep doing our mountain bike stuff, giving you some tips, reviews, and all that good stuff. And then I'll probably end up doing some bike checks soon. So subscribe, check it out. Let's ride bikes, have fun together. Start small, go huge. Thanks for watching.